great to be with you all. Thanks so much for joining us. Presentation today is Meditation in Depth 6, and we'll have a period of meditation first, and then we'll have the main body of the presentation. I want to get up a slide to show you to help inspire our meditation. Great. And I think you'll recognize this, or you may recognize this as a work by Robert Flood, one of his illustrations in his history of the macrocosm and the microcosm, a tremendous work of mysticism and scholarship dating from 1617 to about 1626. Here we see Jacob's ladder, and it's a profound story from the Bible. The Rosicrucian Order Amorc is not a religion. It emphasizes spirituality and mysticism. Mysticism is the direct experience of all that is, and it's the art and science of love. But many spiritual things that are understood through religions also can be understood in a more broader way in mysticism, and we do that here. We see a ladder that goes from earth to heaven, highly symbolic, and there's various stages or rungs there. You'll notice very subtly two triangles, one pointing down and one pointing up. So we have one coming down from the infinite plane and one going up from the finite plane. When those are married together in our realization, we have mastership or complete harmony. I want to zoom in a little bit on the diagram as we prepare ourselves for meditation, because in meditation we'll be applying this diagram from this traditional Rosicrucian, Robert Flood. You notice the bottom rung in the Latin is the sensus, or it refers to our sensations, or particularly can be thought of, some would describe as the 5 physical senses. But sensation in other ways as well than we sense when we experience things through our sense receptors. And next rung up is imaginatio, or imagination. Now these things are have a very profound meaning that Flood is wishing to convey to us. So for example, from the senses we go, or sensation, we go from the outer world, then to imagination, we go to the inner world, important part of meditation. And if we move up, we go ratio or reason. And some of these words had a little different meaning in Flood's time, and also a spiritualized understanding. So by reason here, we mean disciplined thought. And then it comes up to intellectus or intellect, and they're referring to the inner organ of knowledge. And then to intelligentsia or intelligence, there we're going to the object of direct inner knowledge. And then from there, we come to verbum, or the word, and that's associated with the logos and the rising up here to the divine. So as you move up here, one is becoming increasingly spiritualized, and one's moving more deeper and deeper into one's nature. And they have what Rosicrucians refer to an experience of the cosmic or cosmic consciousness. As we pass through the clouds, that'll be an important concept later in our presentation, we're moving into greater clarity, seeing things as they are. By analogy, you could think of one may be down on earth and experience the outer natures experiencing a rainy day, but say approximately 3,000 feet up above the overcast clouds is brilliant sunlight. A similar practice than that when we do meditation. It's interesting in regard to this diagram, Robert Flood says something, and it's actually very telling, particularly the last part, because sometimes we wonder, well, how did people meditate in the past? Well, often they're telling us, but it's indirect, and sometimes it gets a little more direct, as in the last part of this quote I'm going to give to you. But think of this as we prepare for meditation, and we're going to rise up the lungs of this ladder to the celestial sanctum. And I quote, "How amazing it is that things so desperate as the vile body and the immortal spirit should be joined together in the human. No less miraculous is it that itself should have contracted into corporeality, and that the human should be so made that they can participate in the eternal beatitude. What joy there is in this world comes alone from the presence of the spirit in the corruptible body. How much greater then must be the bliss of heaven, where the rational spirit enjoys God's proximate presence. To attain this, it is necessary to turn away from exterior things and turn inwards, indeed, to penetrate through one's very center. So you see here, quite remarkably, Robert Flood is actually telling us his method of meditation, which we'll take up and apply momentarily. So bear that inspiring quote in mind, and also the inspiration of Jacob's ladder as we rise through these different faculties that are studied in depth on a weekly basis through the Rosicrucian monographs. So if you're ready now, I invite you to close your eyes. As we ascend Jacob's ladder, let us work first with the senses. Feel the breath going in and out of your body. Body is the holy temple that houses the master within, or the divine within. Just enjoy the gradual inhalations and exhalations. Just neutral breaths, not holding the inhalation or holding the exhalation. Just enjoy the rhythm of the breath in harmony with all the octaves of creation, what the Rosicrucians refer to as the cosmic keyboard. As we grow and mature, we can apply and play those different octaves of the cosmic keyboard for harmony in our lives and mastership. I think you'll find as you take those deeper inhalations and exhalations, gradual but comfortable, you'll find that there's a wonderful tonic effect, because you'll feel the vital life force tingling in the body, charging and renewing you. Now to continue up Jacob's ladder, there's ladder of perfection that the traditional Rosicrucian Robert Flood spoke of. Let's undertake an invocation or prayer of purification, and invite you to say it with me. May the divine essence of the cosmic infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may enter the celestial sanctum and attune in pureness and in worthiness. So be it in truth, so mote it be. Rosicrucian says, so mote it be to mean, so be it in truth. Now with his rite of lustration and purification, let us picture ourselves rising up using the imagination Flood spoke of. Move through our minds, but also psychically move and refocus our consciousness above the room we're in, even above the house we're in. Feel yourself rising faster and faster, so you can look down on the city or town or geographic area where you live and feel a degree of exhilaration and excitement of the process. Rediscovering things just as a child. As a child, we found everything in great wonder. So when we attune with the master within, everything is in a sense of wonder. And we use this to rise up the rungs of the ladder of perfection. Feel yourself rising up higher and higher to be up above the state or province where you live. And look down and see the various weather systems below and the great system and order of nature, the water systems, the land systems, and so forth. And keep rising faster and faster. And look down on the great nation where you live and see its various structure and forms, the weather systems, clouds, the oceans or large lakes, the various cities, and radiate down love and well-being to all the people and sentient beings there. We keep rising up faster and faster to be over the continent where you live, and ultimately over the hemisphere, whether you're in the north or south hemisphere, and rise faster and faster and see now the earth as a whole, the temple of the earth, the beautiful blue jewel that it is, and sense its rotations about its axis from the north to the south poles. And rise up faster and faster. Use great inner spiritual force. Just as past Grand Master Robert Daniels charged us to use inner force to help us rise high into the cosmic, because at the same time, by the law of the correspondence, we'll go deeper and deeper in ourselves as we ascend the ladder of perfection. Now look up and see different parts of the solar system. See the great fiery ball of the sun and the great beauty of the planet Saturn with its rings and the giant patterned Jupiter, but also Mercury and Mars and other planets, and sense the subtle psychic vibrations of a spiritual nature that they radiate towards us and help regulate corresponding parts in our own body as a microcosm of the macrocosm. Now let's look up again and rise up over the solar system. And let's see other parts of the Milky Way galaxy where we live, myriad other stars, some smaller, some larger than our sun. See various stellar phenomena like great bursts of light that we see from supernovae, but also quasars and pulsars and black holes that help keep our universe in balance. See not only great collections of stars, but nebulae, and start to sense the great spiraling action of our great home, the Milky Way galaxy. And as you continue faster and faster and see the beautiful, beautiful colors and sense the music of the spheres that have spoken to since antiquity, sense now a greater range of vibrations than is normally possible for the human body, but we're working inwardly, spiritually, and psychically to take in wider and wider octaves of the cosmic keyboard and sense our cosmos anew, the full range of its vibrations, and rise right out of the Milky Way galaxy and look back and sense its vibrations, see its great spiraling arms, and the great motion that it's making about its center. Just like our Earth rotates about its axis and the Earth rotates about the sun, so the Milky Way galaxy and all in it rotate about its great center. And now look up and see other galaxies, some spiraling and some in other shapes, and myriad stars and the beauty and wonder of it all. Continue to rise up and feel the inner spiritual exhilaration of this tremendous ascent up the ladder of perfection. Rising higher and higher as we pass through the reason and the intellect and the intelligence and move more and more to the word of the Logos and look at its great work and throughout the cosmos. See now super clusters of galaxies and move faster and faster, way beyond the speed of light. You can do so because we're transcending space and time and start to sense the entire structure of the cosmos, what Rosicrucians refer to as the cosmic. Cosmic is the cosmos imbued with the universal intelligence and also all the natural and spiritual laws that we're learning as students of life, mysticism, to master and work harmoniously with. As you move faster and faster, sense the universe revolving about a great axis that has been spoken of since antiquity by mystics. Sense this stupendous rotation of the universe about its axis. All these galaxies, nebulae, and superclusters of galaxies rotating about this great axis. Keep moving faster and faster towards that axis. Feel the exhilaration of the ascent, deeper and deeper within oneself, and deeper into the cosmos to its very center, at the center of its cosmic axis. When you reach towards that center, slow up. When you come to a halt, there visualize what Rosicrucians refer to as the Celestial Sanctum. It's a great meeting point of universal energies of mind. Where all spiritual seekers come inwardly attuned with the God within, the divine within. Picture your celestial sanctum as you wish. It may be a special place in nature or some sacred built form. Maybe a sacred grove of trees or a high vantage point on a mountaintop where you get that high view that suggests the cosmic consciousness or universal consciousness. Or maybe a high bank on a lake or an ocean, seeing myriad waves and the great sea of vibrations that are suggested there throughout the cosmos and of that higher intelligence with us. Or it may be a sacred built form such as the Grand Temple, the Rosicrucian Order, at Rosicrucian Park in San Jose, California. Maybe a Sikh-Gurdwara, a Buddhist stupa, or a Jewish synagogue, or a Christian cathedral or church, or some other place sacred to you. Visualize it now and fill it in with all the sights and sounds. There may be a beautiful stained glass window with inspiring teachings there. There may be incense that's rising up, suggesting the elevation in consciousness that we've just undergone is rising the ladder of perfection. Since there are also other seekers with you, all working on developing the virtues so they can rise the ladder of perfection. Feeling the beauty of the place, feeling inner exaltation. Sense it as vast or as a size you wish. Once you've filled it in, dwell there in stillness and a profound peace that the Rosicrucians refer to as peace profound. So once it's filled in, let go the outer senses. Just as you rose up the ladder, turn inward. Just as we made the great effort to rise upward, now turn inward and surrender to the divine within, at the center of the cosmos, at the center of your being. Let us be still now. Just feel whatever there is to feel. Whatever might come forward in the mind, take note of it, but return back to the stillness and the breath. If you wish, you may wish to pick a particular prayer word, mantra, divine word, to gently repeat as you inhale and exhale. Maybe love or divine. Pick the word divine. As you breathe in, you can say the first syllable of divine. As you breathe out, the second syllable. This helps still the outer mind so it can go deep within its center. So if you wish to repeat a particular word at this time of an inspiring spiritual nature, in rhythm with your breath, you may do so. If you're feeling comfortable within the body, a holy temple, you may wish just to let go of who you are and where you are. To forget or let go and surrender to divine within. I think you'll increasingly sense an intense desire for the divine, the God within. May further ascend. This cloud of unknowing to a oneness with the one, the all, the divine. Let the deeper spiritual nature of yourself unfold. Let it reveal itself to you. While we dwell in this deep stillness, ascending into a oneness with the divine, let us undertake a spiritual operation which will assist us in this process, that of radiating love and well-being to all those in need. We'll undertake this under the auspices of the Council of Solace. We'll join in the work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace. Let us radiate love and well-being to all who've petitioned the Grand Lodge, the Rosicrucian Order, in the English-speaking language jurisdiction of the Americas. All those who've petitioned the Grand Lodge for health and healing, let us radiate love and well-being to them now. Let us radiate love and well-being to all those you know who are in need. And radiate love and well-being to all frontline workers in their important services on Earth. And indeed, ultimately, let's radiate love and well-being to all sentient beings throughout the cosmos. Feel it as a force radiating out from your heart and your mind. Feel the love, sense of wholeness, which is true health, radiate out from your being, reaching all those in need at this time. First, radiate very consciously. Feel an exhilaration in doing it, just like there was an exhilaration to rise to this center of your being at the center of the cosmos. After a while, I think you'll find that you don't have to consciously activate the radiation of love and well-being. It will continue on its own as you dwell in stillness now. At a certain point, I think you'll find that the radiation of love and well-being speeds up or moves more smoothly, and you know you're reaching those in need. And when that happens, continue to dwell in the deep stillness. Top of the ladder of perfection, merging with the divine within. I will formally conclude this period sending metaphysical aid in the work of the silent council, the council of solace. Will say, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done, so mote it be. With the assurance that the radiations in love and well-being will continue from us as an act of service and as a way of life. And let us continue to dwell in stillness a while longer, the heights of the celestial sanctum. As we've given in that period sending metaphysical aid, I think you'll find now a healing effect on yourself. A wonderful circulation of the life force throughout your body, healing us. Not that we intended it to be so, but it follows naturally with the law of karma or the law of compensation. I think you'll find too that your attunement with the cosmic is increased by the act of service. Let's increase that attunement with the cosmic by expressing gratitude for this opportunity to be of service, to have the birthright, to attune with the cosmic. For those teachers and friends and family who have guided us in life, let us express gratitude to them now. Invoke the law of gratitude, which automatically invokes the law of cosmic attunement as well. Now, with a deep sense of well-being and health, and our consciousness expanded to cosmic consciousness, let us begin our descent from the heights of the Celestial Sanctum. Leaving now this great central axis of the cosmos, passing by myriad superclusters of galaxies. Let us see individual galaxies and many stellar phenomena, the quasars, the pulsars, black holes helping balance the universe. Let us see now in the distance the great spiraling arms of the Milky Way galaxy, our home. Let us move with great speed, way beyond the speed of light, towards the great arm where we dwell, and pass into the galaxy we call home, past myriad stars, stellar phenomena. Sense the beauty and wonder of it all and the great structure, the applications of law. See in the distance our solar system, the great fiery ball of the sun and the planets revolving about it, And let us home in onto the beautiful blue jewel of the earth, our hemisphere, our continent, our nation, province or state, geographic area or town or city where we dwell. Before we conclude, let us say together, may the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. So mote it be. Let us continue down now towards our neighborhood, our dwelling and home, the room we're in, whether we're lying down or seated. Feel the physical sensations on the body where we're lying or seated. When we're ready, you may wish to stretch and open your eyes, assured that great sense of rejuvenation, regeneration, and repair. That heightened state of consciousness will stay with us, lead us to a balancing of our various phases of consciousness, which are one in cosmic consciousness. When you're ready, open your eyes. We'll continue with the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order and our presentation. Great, thank you. Now, on the topic meditation and depth 6, you can say that meditation is the key and central practice of spirituality and for the mastery of life. Much progress can be made when meditation is practiced daily, like we just did. And we'll go through a series of questions, and one could be, well, how did the traditional Rosicrucian, Robert Flood, meditate? Well, we've largely answered that now by looking at, in particular, his Jacob's ladder, or ladder of perfection, and rising through these different faculties that are studied in a very thorough way in the Rosicrucian teachings. Many mystical exercises and psychic exercises that are done on a weekly and daily basis. Most importantly, he told us to turn inward and then letting go of outer physical things and dwell there in the deep stillness that one can then ascend, similar to what we did. The method of meditation we did was based on the Rosicrucian book, Liber 777. Later, Sir Karen will post in the group chat towards the end of the presentation various references for you to do with this presentation, and that's one of them. It's a great book to be familiar with, and we've applied it in our meditation, but we also adapted some of the traditional Rosicrucian Robert Flood's method of meditation. Now, another question that some can be asked about meditation is, can meditation help me to be less anxious? Now, the concentration on the breath at a gradual but comfortable pace produces a relaxation response in the body and the mind, as we've just experienced, particularly as the exhalation is prolonged, as that stimulates the vagus nerve. And we can do that whether we have doing formally meditation or just during the day, we take deeper breaths and prolong the exhalation. Also, meditation removes the fuel that creates anxiety. Meditation places us in the present because anxiety arises when we are getting vexed about something remembered from the past or imagine may occur in the future. An analogy is that most fires need heat, fuel, and an oxidizing agent, such as oxygen. Remove one of these three elements and the fire is extinguished. Similarly, in meditation, when we focus on the present and ultimately eternity, that all-encompassing now, we remove we remove one of the elements that causes anxiety, focusing in a vexed way on the past or in the future. And that means that anxiety is then reduced. Also, meditation is an act of non-avoidance, which reduces anxiety. When we avoid something that we need to deal with, we cause anxiety and give ourselves what psychologists I work with describes as a vote of non-confidence. Meditation helps turn these things around in confidence. And indeed, also meditation provides clarity of mind. It assists the brain and mental faculties to work in a coordinated way for solutions to challenges in our lives and changes to healthier habits in the subconscious that further remove the cause of the anxiety. Also, meditation allows us to be in contact with the most mature part of ourselves, the master within or the divine within. And this contact reframes our thinking in a much more accurate, inspired, and an uplifting way of seeing things and understanding, far more than the outer nature can do on its own. So when the outer nature works as a co-partner with the cosmic or the divine within, anxiety is also reduced, and meditation is central key in doing that. Another question that we'll consider today, and sometimes gets asked, is what is the purpose and meaning of the successive steps in the Celestial Sanctum Meditation that we just did? And this exercise, as I mentioned, is described in the booklet, Liber 777. Now, to help answer that, I'm going to show you two slides. One is of a simplified diagram of the Rosicrucian schematic diagram of mental processes. You notice here, there's the external world, and then there's the objective consciousness, the subjective consciousness, the subconscious, and the cosmic consciousness. You can think of these as also as the objective mind, the subjective mind, and the subconscious mind, and the cosmic mind. The cosmic mind and cosmic consciousness imbues all that's in all the other layers of consciousness. So it is one unity. We know the external world through our objective consciousness, often through the five physical senses, such as the sight, the hearing, the smelling, the tasting, and the feeling. We get impressions from the objective consciousness on the subconscious where reasoning of the deductive or the inductive reasoning takes place. And this imagery or sense impressions from the objective consciousness are then interpreted. But we also have subconscious mind that brings impressions deep in our nature to the subjective mind and makes us aware of. That's where we use various symbolisms like a great journey through the cosmos, or a mystical symbol like the rosy cross to symbolize our own maturation and growth. Subconscious is also the place where our laws, our habits are as laws. And as we replace old habits and make new laws, we can then become less anxious and more moving towards mastership. And our order gives us lessons in how that's done. But also in our dreams at night, we have symbols and imagery from the subconscious that we can learn to interpret and become more sensitive to. And meditation will help us have that increased sensitivity of the body in these various layers of subconscious. You notice here, release. This was a diagram that was originally part of an Amorc slide and tape set, in part dealt with visualization to mentally create, and where we form mental images and then release them into the subconscious through to the cosmic and help work to their fruition. Now, when we ascend in the Celestial Sanctum and the method of meditation described in the booklet, Liber 77, we work in a highly coordinated way with these different phases of mind that are all part of the cosmic mind. You know, when we did a breath, we used our feeling and senses here and help purify ourselves with our prayer of lustration. We also, when we reach the height of Celestial Sanctum, we also work with memory from the subconscious and sense impressions have come in through the objective consciousness to form and make real our Celestial Sanctum. Just like we form and make things real when we release through a visualization to mentally create something in our life, and then be on the lookout for how we can follow up and bring that into fruition in our life. Also, we're moving along here is like moving up that Jacob's ladder that traditional Rosicrucian Robert Flood described. Always be on the lookout for how the different forms in which truth is depicted in different times and epochs. So here, as we made that great celestial ascent, we went deeper and deeper into ourselves, which moved us in these deeper and deeper phases of mind and consciousness. So it was a symbolic journey, yes, but it was also allowing us to move deep within ourselves. So there was an actual literal action of tuning with deeper and deeper with ourselves. Also in the Rosicrucian order, we learned how to psychically project to a distant place or refocalize our consciousness to another place in the cosmos or beyond. That is also happening. So many things are going on at once, deep within our nature as we rise to the heights of the celestial sanctum. We reach that state of cosmic consciousness at the height of the celestial sanctum, where there's the fusion of the cosmic energies, and there's a meeting of common minds of Rosicrucians and other seekers there, highly charged place. It's very abstract in some ways, so it helps to have the visual imagery for the outer mind to understand, but also to the inner nature to convey those deeper meanings to us. Also, when we're at this place of the cosmic mind, we let go of our outer nature so we could go deeper and deeper into the cosmic mind. That great journey through the cosmos was mirrored in that great journey within ourselves. See the beautiful harmony and meaning that's there. To further bring this out to us, the meaning and purpose of those different stages of the instructions in the celestial sanctum. Here's a diagram from an earlier presentation in the temple. I've adjusted it. You'll see the title of the slide is Forms of the Temple in the Celestial Sanctum. The concept of the temple is a very important one in the Rosicrucian studies because it's an interconnecting word that brings together many phenomena that we experience. In the mirroring of the microcosm and the macrocosm of the law of correspondence, we have the human body as a microcosm that mirrors the entirety of the cosmos. All the natural and spiritual laws and actions that take place in it mirror that which goes on in the cosmos. But it also, our body, our holy temple, also mirrors the built forms such as the Grand Lodge Temple at Rosicrucian Park. But it could be your own sacred place or an inspiring temple to you. Sometimes that's referred to as a microcosm or a mesocosm because it's an intermediary between the microcosm that we are with the greater macrocosm here as the cat's paw nebulae, but suggesting the great cosmos itself and its myriad superclusters of galaxies and more. These are all mirrored in a celestial sanctum or the divine archetype, which itself is a temple, symbolized here by the Romans templum of the sky. So when we rose to the heights of the celestial sanctum, we resonated within ourselves with the divine archetype of the temple, but also this great meeting place of energies of a higher inspiring nature that then influence our microcosm, our holy temple, but also help us to bring into emulate the cosmic in our lives through inspirations, partly symbolized and literally done through inspiring temples on earth or built forms on earth that remind us of our true home in the celestial sanctum deep within us. It also allows us to work in our environment because the cosmos in our immediate environment is the divine laboratory where we learn and grow. This here you see that in rising up into the celestial sanctum, we work with our bodies, the microcosm. We visualized a temple, our sacred space at the heights of the celestial sanctum. We made our great journey through the macrocosm, the universe, and then we dwelled in tune with and resonated with the divine archetype of the temple and dwelled in the celestial sanctum. So this is another unifying way of seeing the different stages and purpose and meaning of the celestial sanctum exercise. I invite you to read the booklet Liber 777. Even if we're very familiar with it, there's always new and profound things to reflect on it as we grow and learn. Now let us cover a few more questions to do with meditation. Now, maybe asked about, heard about various celestial ascents in history, and what's that got to do with meditation? And even the practice of the exercise of ascending the celestial sanctum? Well, it prepares us for those celestials ascents, and in a way, we do the celestial ascent when we meditate. You know, for example, there's a great celestial ascent that's described by the prophetess and priestess Diotima in Plato's Symposium on ascending the ladder of love, just like we ascended the ladder of perfection. Or Plotinus's discussion of ascent from us as the one to the one. Or Dante's great ascent in Divine Comedy, or the celestial ascent described in the New Chemical Wedding of Christian Rosencrantz. We profoundly take part in the meaning in this mystical heritage of humanity and experience and move towards mystical union when we do our meditation exercise. So in a way, we just did our celestial ascent and take our part in the great annals of mysticism. Another question that's commonly asked in meditation is, what are some of the bodily sensations that can occur during meditation? Now, it may be during meditation, we become more aware of wanting to itch or adjust or fidget in our position to become more careful. And that's perfectly fine. That's all part of the process. That's why it's good at the very beginning to take some time to make sure one's comfortable in a place where you can meditate relatively undisturbed. But as we get more practice with meditation, we can meditate anywhere. And as we meditate and the body relaxes, you know, blood vessels expand, which can generate the sensation of heat. And also, when we're in meditation, we become more aware of what's going on within us in our body. For example, we learn in the Rosicrucian teachings that pain is a signal, is a very important signal. And in meditation, we become more aware of that important signal and what to do about it. As one of the psychologists I work with who does clinical trials on mindfulness meditation often says, if we can feel it, we can heal it. You know, meditation is, as he points out, a consistent healing influence in our life, which has a cumulative effect as we do it daily. Also, one of the bodily sensations we can have in meditation can be of a psychic nature, and there's many psychic impressions we can have in the mind and in sense through the body. For example, there's spiritual centers in the Rosicrucian traditions. We work with what's described what's called psychic centers, but through other traditions, there's working with centers referred to as the chakras that are closely related. And working with them can produce a variety of bodily sensations such as heat and warmth, which can, for example, be part of a purging or purification process going on within our bodies and minds. Sometimes also we may feel the body may be very heavy, and we may need to be steadfast in our spiritual nature and focus to purify the body and view it as a test, and thereby not be overly drawn into the physical appetites. But everything's to be kept in balance. All levels of our nature, which are all one through the cosmic. And also, we may have the surprising experience of feeling actually be maturing or evolving. Often that takes over a gradual time, but sometimes we can actually feel it in what we use a computer time in real time, particularly in our heart. That's one of the wonderful, exhilarating experiences we can have in our life. And as I mentioned, meditation allows us to be more sensitive to sensations from the body and mind. This is part of the wisdom of the body. And the body gives us messages and that's why during meditation, we practice non-avoidance. We can not holding on to any one impression, going back to the still center of the breath, but take note, and then we can act further on them. It is the holy temple of the divine within. Now, during the day, we get what might some have described as roughed up. And meditation soothes our body and mind, and that can be part of the sensations we'll feel in the body. And if we are ever in a very challenging situation, such as an emergency, for example, we're stuck in cold water or some other trying circumstance, practice meditation, even if it needs to be with one's eyes open, because I think you'll find at that time that the pain will be reduced. And it'll enable the drawing on and rallying of constructive forces of the mind and the body. It'll allow us to be calm so we can think clearly as needed in such a trying circumstance or emergency. And many have done this and they've found at the distance all the difference in being able to continue in this incarnation. It's also important to keep in mind that being sensitive to the body is also allows us to temporarily let go of the body as we go deeper into the meditative experience. We must know something well first before we can let go of it or transcend it. Now, another question about meditation is, what is the meditation technique described in the late medieval spiritual classic, The Cloud of Unknowing? Now, that is a text from the late 14th century that was written in England in Middle English. The text is anonymous, and the author appears to be living a monastic life and is a spiritual counselor, possibly a priest. It actually is a centering prayer, which can be described as meditation, a form of meditation. It describes the importance to forget or let go of everything, at the same time reaching out to God. Remember in our meditation, we actually applied some of the technique given in the Cloud of Unknowing. When we let go and surrendered, when we reach the heights of the Celestial Sanctum, even letting go of where we are and who we are as we move deeper and deeper, transcending thoughts of the outer mind. Now, it's described that the cloud of unknowing in that text is above you, and below you is the cloud of forgetting, where we forget or let go of yourself in creation. And in the cloud of unknowing, we go higher and up higher the ladder of perfection, letting go of even of thoughts. We transcend them. We move towards God, and we move beyond, even beyond the cloud of unknowing into that oneness with God. And use that as part of what we implied in our meditation as a repetition of a prayer word to still the outer mind. And part of all this process in the practice of the meditation of the cloud of unknowing and throughout our day is to have an ardent desire and will to rise into the cloud of unknowing and beyond, into the oneness with God, the divine, and the all. And as we have that ideation during meditation, it will spill over in a way of life, and we'll find ourselves being more and more spiritualized in all that we say and do. Now, as the final question before we conclude our presentation, is it better to have 3 meditation periods spread over the course of the day, or 1 meditation period each day? Now, both approaches have their advantages. Indeed, many persons have found the 3-stage method particularly effective. By that, I mean having 3 20-minute periods of meditation a day, in the morning, midday, and the evening. The morning one to help start the day off on the right foot and well focused in one's mind, and drawing on that inner spiritual maturity to see things of the workday or one's activities in that more accurate light, more expansive light. In midday, to be soothed more from the challenges of the day and get recharged. And then in the evening, to enter into deeper spiritual sleep and deeper reflection on the lessons learned for the day. However, at the same time, if one wants to have, say, a 1-hour meditation for the day, that can be very effective because often it allows one to go even deeper into deeper meditation and have that added benefit. And indeed, even if one is taking the approach of several periods over the day, it's good on a fairly regular basis also to have some longer sessions of at least an hour to have that deeper effect that comes through that duration. However, one of the beauties of the Rosicrucian system is we're given principles and ideas to test and try them and see what works most effectively for us. So today we've considered some common and not so common questions about meditation. As we continue to explore how meditation makes for the most direct and sure-wise counsel in our daily lives and increases our well-being and capacity for service. Thank you.